Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to go through and discuss how to apologize as a fearful avoidant if you've just experienced the expression of a lot of emotional volatility or anger, and you want to go back towards healing that situation and addressing it. And you also, at the same time, want to be able to get your part understood because, what I know is that if a fearful avoidant is experiencing emotional volatility and they're expressing a lot of anger, they're first feeling a lot of inner turmoil. And what's going to be necessary to sort of heal through this dynamic or break through it in a relationship or with, any relationship, a friendship, a family member, a romantic partner, or a spouse, what's really important, or a child even, right? What's really important is to be able to make sure that you also get heard and understood in terms of what triggered you so that you can collectively be aware of some of these things and have some sort of boundaries around them or express your needs so that you're actually addressing the root problem of why this occurred. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to give you a bit of a script for like how to actually communicate and navigate this dynamic if this has taken place. And we'll touch on all of those key points. So this all comes from a course we put out last month. And it is basically a course of over 50 different scripts. And I've modeled out a bunch of them, like a third of them or so, actually like in long form format, but then also with objections and what could come up and how we can respond. Because I've just found that communication is one of the most poorly modeled things that we have in most of our upbringings. And so this is all about like proper communication, and it really dives in. All of these different scripts are for different scenarios. So this is one that's from there, and it's about apologizing after a sort of spurt or experience of emotional volatility, and maybe as a fearful avoidant you're experiencing a lot of guilt or shame or pain around this. For those of you who don't know already, I was super fearful avoidant for a long period of my life and then learned about the subconscious and all of this reprogramming. So I absolutely empathize and understand. And I've had many times where I just felt like so much guilt and shame around something I said or the way I acted when I was really mad or triggered, and like really trying to process that. So this video is for like that, and also making sure that you, as that person who is experiencing all that hurt that spilled over so profoundly and maybe hurt somebody as a byproduct, that hurt is also addressed. So last thing I'll say, we are doing sales still to support everybody during all the craziness that's happening. We're offering 25% off all of our memberships for like the all access pass, which gives access to everything inside of the school, 30 courses, 100 plus webinars, ongoing courses, ongoing webinars that are live. The coupon code is with you. It's for 25% off. Link in description box below and a card on this video. And we've also reopened like scholarship options for people, just because I know like the uncertainty kind of got worse and crazier. So we have somebody managing that inside of our team. And you can just email them at info@personaldevelopmentschool.com. And we're offering different scholarships if you can share with us a little bit about your situation, some of the things that are happening, and we're going to work to accommodate everybody and serve from our end. So, okay, so let's talk about it. So let's say you've had this experience of expressing all this anger, rage, maybe hurt, maybe cutting sharply with your words, saying mean things. And I want to talk about some of like why this happens first. For the fearful avoidant, this usually happens because stuff inside of your subconscious mind that has so much painful emotion attached to it, because our subconscious mind stores all information ever with all of the emotions sort of colored in there and attached to it. Our memory can change over time and consolidate things and stuff like that, but like our large emotional imprints are very, very much there. And even the way information gets consolidated sort of can fall under those categories of strong emotional imprints, further feeding them to a certain degree. So when we have these experiences, and I hope that makes sense. Like what that really means is like, let's say you have a huge wound around betrayal, you're just more likely to keep putting files of memories under the wound of betrayal. And so even things that somebody didn't betray you that much, you might actually store and sort of regroup your memories so that where there's tiny betrayals, they almost feel like bigger betrayals. And that sort of storage cabinet of stuff stays there until we actually dive in and reprogram it. And that's when we really get that relief. So sometimes for a fearful avoidant, when that stuff is activated, it's so profoundly intense that it can't help but spill over. It feels like it has nowhere to go but out. And sometimes, as the fearful avoidant, you will use really harsh words or say really mean things because when the fearful avoidant is really triggered, it's like that event is you associating, even though that person catalyzed that wound and all that stored emotion, they aren't necessarily the single source of all of that previously stored emotion and emotional history there. Let's say around the wound of betrayal, for example. Somebody's the catalyst, and you associate that person in that moment as being the source of your pain. You're like, this person is causing me to feel this way. And it's only true to a degree a lot of the time. The person is the catalyst, but there's also all the stored stuff in you that's also causing you to feel that way. And then as a survival strategy or adaptation, your subconscious mind is like, this person's the source of my pain. And as a subconscious strategy to get rid of the pain, I need to get rid of that person. I need to get as far away from this person as possible. I need to push them as far away as I can. And sometimes words are a defense or an attack to create a defense in order to be able to do that. It's like, if I can push this person away hard enough with what I'm saying, I'm protecting myself as a byproduct. So this can be sort of like one of the underlying reasons that this occurs. And then after that, sometimes fearful avoidance can have this like second set of things that's happening. And it can be that you become afraid of being further the things that you're carrying, right? Helplessness, powerlessness, all these fears that you have because of core wounds inside of you, afraid of being helpless, powerless, unworthy, unlovable. And so you can even fear apologizing because it can feel like by actually admitting to how you behave and taking accountability and truly looking, it's in doing that then all of those fears are confirmed. Then, yeah, I have to give my power to this person, or I become helpless to this person, or I am a bad person, and it just further validates all this guilt and shame that I'm carrying inside of me. And so there can be this resistance or aversion to even apologizing because of the fear that all of those subconscious beliefs we might be carrying in the story about ourselves at a deeper level are in fact confirmed and true. And so you can sort of avoid apologizing, and then sometimes as a byproduct of that, the fearful avoidant will just cut people off or push people away, not wanting to be accountable for their part. Or also, a huge piece playing into that can be that you are like, hey, but I hurt this much. So if I'm hurting this much and it's so extreme and so intense, then like you need to see my pain too. And it can also feel like this injustice to validate somebody else's experience without your own. So this script that we're going to go into is going to do both, okay? So number one of the principles here as we dive into the script is going to be about a principle of how we get heard. And it's that for us to properly and effectively be heard, we really, really need to make sure that we've built a bridge first. We need to build an emotional bond and an emotional connection, and this is how people hear us. So sometimes when we apologize, we have to start with what we are accountable for first, okay? So this can be something like this. I want to acknowledge my behavior from the other day and apologize. I wish I did not react like that, and I know that volatility can be a really painful thing to experience in the relationship. I'm sorry for how my words or behaviors might have affected you, and I intend on working through this by realizing the root causes of my feelings and what led up to this so that we can correct it proactively at the root level and it's less likely to happen again. And so that's the first sort of part here, is the acknowledgement of your behavior and your words, like just talking about whatever the situation is and saying like, I'm gonna try to acknowledge the roots of what came up. Now, by acknowledging the roots of what came up, you're also setting the tone to be able to get heard and seen and understood in the second part of this script here. Okay, so that's sort of part A, but you're gonna try to push this all together. The next thing is to be able to validate the person's emotional experience. This is really building the bond. So then you want to be able to say, I can only imagine how when I said X, Y, and Z, or when I did X, Y, and Z, you felt sad, alone, defeated, discounted, unloved, afraid, right? Then you're validating the person's emotional experience Okay. And then you want to follow that up by really truly empathizing and saying, like, I bet if I were in your position and I went through that when I was behaving that way, I would feel the way you did too. Okay. So you're really like the second part here, the second container is like really validate the other person's emotional experience, what they felt, why they felt it, these sorts of things. Okay. Then what you want to do in the third part here is be able to express the underlying reasons you mentioned in part A, for why. Okay. So for example, what led up to this and what the sponsoring intention was for my behavior is that I felt extremely afraid and or I felt extremely trapped or helpless, and I'm just, you fill in your blanks here. But I felt X, Y, and Z. And what I really needed was X, Y, and Z. And usually, as the fearful avoidant, that's probably true. You probably felt something really horrible, and then you really needed something, but you didn't express that in a healthy way. And some of that is just because there's so much triggering happened. It's like hard to find your footing in that experience. So then what you want to be able to do is say, like, these are needs that I have regularly, and I realize the importance of me being able to communicate and express these things in order for harmony in our relationship to work. So I'm going to work on doing that and trying to express more clearly and healthily in a proactive manner so that we don't fall into the situation again. And what's really beautiful about that part is that you've just set the tone for yourself to keep communicating in a healthy way and to do so proactively and sourcing the root causes of like why you reacted the way you did and what needs aren't met. And you've also explained to them what's happened. So they have context and it's like tangible for them to be able to go, okay, now we know the root cause. I don't have to worry to the same degree that this is going to happen at seemingly the drop of a hat tomorrow. I actually see that there's a cause and effect here. And if we know the cause, then we can minimize the effect or, transform the effect by transforming the root cause of why this occurred. So it gives the other person like a form of sort of safety in the situation, like reassurance. And then it's also shown that you're doing the work to show up and to address and to be accountable and share that root cause. And then as a byproduct of all of that, you are getting seen, heard, understood, expressing your needs and doing all these really important, powerful things that are necessary for you to transform in a relationship dynamic. So I hope this all makes sense. What you can do is sort of like pick and choose parts of that really resonate with you, or shorten them for a text message or elongate them for a real life conversation. But this is really, really powerful and important work for anybody to do who's fearful avoidant. And I can do a follow-up video too later on, maybe a little bit about like what a fearful avoidant is often experiencing when they're pushing somebody away, because I think it can be really helpful for a fearful avoidant to even be able to show their partner that and to empathize with their internal experience and reality. So if this is you as well as the fearful avoidant, just remember, like, all this stuff is reprogrammable. Your attachment style isn't like some diagnosis. It's not something like this is you and who you are. It's just a specific set of patterns that you've learned in terms of relating, and a set of subconscious programs that can be reprogrammed. So just keep that in mind as well. I'm sort of reminiscing and feeling those times where I've done that in the past, and it's like 10 plus years ago now, but I did this many times and pushed people away a lot. And so you're not alone in that. And I totally understand that whole experience, but it is absolutely changeable. And you guys deserve to like get to the bliss phase of a relationship and feel empowered in love and connection and closeness with people, because I know it's something fearful ones also really crave and desire. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you're getting a lot of value out of it, and I will see you in the next video.